Breaking news, the worst person that you know or have ever heard of is actually a far bigger monster than you could possibly imagine, and will probably be exposed this week as the world's largest mass murderer in the modern era, give or take 10 million people. That puts him on par with Hitler and Stalin and Mao Zedong. Of course, we're talking about Dr. Fauci, who shakes when he's under congressional investigation, as he does in this clip here, and Rand Paul's dragging him back under investigation this week. And he has a welcome present, the release of Dr. Fauci's diary, which is humiliating. Dr. Fauci's diary shows that he loves one thing more than anything, and it's not health, it's his own likeness, press, and how famous he is. And all he ever did was squee over how remarkably popular he was getting as he was committing the murder of millions of people and destroying our election and destroying our nation and children and lying, obviously. Fauci wrote, "Now we know the market was not the source. It was the amplifier." Oh, okay. But I thought that Dr. Fauci swore that this was COVID occurred naturally. So he knew it was a lie the whole time. This is all you need to do. Throw him in prison. You have to throw him in jail. People like him have to suffer. They have to go to prison for what they've done. Nobody has done more damage to our modern way of life than Dr. Fauci. And he damn well knew precisely what he was doing. And you could see it here in his diary. Again, huge compliments to Rand Paul, who has Dr. Fauci's diary. Very creepy. And he constantly was bragging about how he's lying to the public. They talked about the proximal origins, and he lied about how many scientists believe that this was just a naturally occurring virus. It's not a naturally occurring virus. In fact, the vast majority of the scientists that he talked with believed that it was created in a lab. So did George Gao. This is the head of China's CDC that called to inform Dr. Fauci that our experiments had worked, right? And that now it's transmissible to human beings, and that this outbreak will be worldwide, a global pandemic. Exactly the kind of global pandemic, by the way, that Dr. Fauci promised on the day of Donald Trump's inauguration.
There is no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that, but also there will be a surprise outbreak. And
surprise outbreak. You know, it's funny, Dr. Fauci has served in this role since Gerald Ford, but you never heard him talk about a surprise outbreak in any other administration except for the administration where there was a surprise outbreak. He promised that. Dr. Fauci kept a diary. It includes clippings squeeing over himself. Look at this. Like little clippings about why America is thirsty for Dr. Fauci. He's writing about how much he loved this. Kept if you don't have a crush on this man, do you even care about public health? This is the stuff from his diary. Dr. Fauci, coronavirus donuts. Got it? Yeah. Got it? Also, clearly lying. He was talks about how he's lying to the president of the United States and the administration. How he's saying that he's not going to shut down the economy. He's not going to affect the economy at all. It's not going to hurt anything. Dr. Fauci's diary is filled with entries bragging that he is the most famous person in the world, gleefully celebrating that he's taking the spotlight away from Trump. What an absolute sick monster. Here we go. Big front page article about me in the Washington Post. Very flattering. The situation with my national and international fame is explosive and really unimaginable. It's not hyperbole to say that I am today the most famous and most talked about person in the country and one of the most recognizable person in the world. Countless profiles of me in multiple media. POTUS seemed very enamored with me, though I am taking the spotlight away from him. Sick. Dr. Fauci celebrated his own action figure, depicting himself as Superman. Fauci seethed over Elon Musk's memes about him. This is actually pretty hilarious. All of a sudden, Elon Musk has started viciously attacking me with tweets. Just one more lockdown, my king. Wonder what he thinks about my pronouns are prosecute Fauci. By the way, we checked. Elon Musk has posted prosecute Fauci half dozen times, right? Baker's dozen. Prosecute Fauci, prosecute Fauci, prosecute Fauci. Dr. Fauci clearly did lie. He had a diary showing himself fighting off Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, depicted as death. Dr. Fauci and Ron DeSantis. This guy's a sick puppy. Real entry from Dr. Fauci. This dude is insane. This is a Fauci Harris's Person of the Year nominee. It's like a bunch of libtards, smooth-brained libtards, wearing their Fauci shirts. I don't know. Is that Chelsea Clinton? I don't know. Great. First of all, I didn't recommend locking anything down, says Dr. Fauci, right here.
All over again.
Well, again, it's first of all, I didn't recommend locking anything down.
Oh, okay. Well, here, fast forward to Dr. Fauci's actual diary. And you can see here, I spoke with Mayor Bill de Blasio and convinced him, based on what I saw today, I went on to tell him that you should close down bars and restaurants in New York City. He said he would base this on my recommendation. A similar call with Anna O'Leary and Governor Gavin Newsom, and told him to lock down all the bars and restaurants. When I left the White House, I crossed paths and several cars honked their horns and shouted, "Thank you" at me. Thank you, Dr. Fauci. Incredible. Dr. Fauci, here is maybe a gay man here, his diary entries obsessing over Barbara Streisand. There were signs. There were always signs. Signs of Dr. Fauci sitting in his office with photos of Dr. Fauci everywhere. Pride cometh before destruction. Just a reminder. Serial killer vibes through the whole thing. Dr. Fauci is somehow more of a demon than his worst detractors assumed. Fauci's diary. Deaths, 10,000. Big front page article about me. Deaths. Tens of thousands of deaths. But look, cases continue to soar. But press is going wild for me. He loved it. He loved it. He's a bloodthirsty monster. Jake Tapper was having Fauci over for dinners while he was going on Jake Tapper's show for propaganda purposes. It is such a nasty world. It is so sick. These people are such demons. Prosecute Fauci, please. Go read everything from Rand Paul. Rand Paul was on our show saying that this is exactly what we need to do with Dr. Fauci, and that he's going to test the limits of the pardon that Joe Biden gave him. This will be the first time we get to listen to Dr. Fauci on Wednesday, talk about all that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what Senator Rand Paul told us a month ago.
What was Dr. Fauci trying to cover up? Like, was he trying to cover up the EcoHealth Alliance funding of this research? Was he trying to cover up? Do you believe that he has culpability in actually releasing this virus? Do you believe that this was meant to rig the election and destroy the MAGA rallies and Trump's economic victories in 2020? Do you believe this was a bioweapon?
I probably wouldn't go that far. What I would say is that he was trying to protect the business of science. So science, we want to think that the scientists that work in cancer research want to cure cancer and they should win the Nobel Prize and that they're noble people and honorable people. But there's also the business of science, and it's run by billions and billions of dollars. Anthony Fauci was the head of the business of science ever since 9/11. After 9/11, we became more concerned with biological warfare, so we directed billions and billions of dollars into biological warfare research, ostensibly to defend against it. But there was a lot of things being experimented upon that actually could either be for defense or could be for offense, because many things are dual use. But he became in charge of all of that money. Now, if it became known that a virus that killed 15, 18 million people, which COVID did around the world, if it became known that he knew about it and didn't provide oversight and that there were safety lapses because this was done in an unsafe lab in China that doesn't have the same safety protocols and that he approved it, then he would have culpability, and that the business of science might get less money. People might say, well, maybe we shouldn't put billions of dollars of research into creating viruses that don't exist in nature that might kill us all. That doubt and that problem is why he had to vehemently deny it. But he also didn't want to face culpability for those deaths, frankly. He shares some culpability. Now, I don't go so far as to say, oh, we tried to do it on purpose. He tried to kill people. No, I think it was an accident. I think the leak from the lab was not purposeful, but was accidental. But you still, if you preside over an accident that kills 18 million people and you're an air traffic controller and two planes run into each other and hundreds of people die, you're no longer the air traffic controller. One of the punishments is, and it doesn't mean you were made necessarily an evil person, but you made a horrific error. Fauci made the largest error in modern medicine and in public health policy probably ever of someone. And for that, he deserves the rebuke of history, but he also deserves never to be in a position, nor should his lieutenants be in a position of managing any of our taxpayer money again, because they made such a profound mistake to fund dangerous research in Wuhan without adequate safety that led to the deaths of 18 million people.
You've referred Dr. Fauci for criminal prosecution to the DOJ. I just love to get your overall assessment. One, of this remarkable clip. Why is he shaking? And then two, what's going to happen to Dr. Fauci?
Well, the exchange where he does lie to Congress is over gain of function. This is where you take two different viruses, combine them or combine the genetics for them, and you create a new virus that doesn't exist in nature that increases its transmissibility to people or its infectiousness or its lethality to people. And he's saying, no, we never funded this in Wuhan. They did fund it, and it was gain of function. We now have private emails that were discovered through FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, that show that he knew that he had done this. And so the reason I think he's shaking is he's concerned because he's been caught in a lie. And we're not done. I referred him twice for criminal prosecution in the Biden administration. I've referred him once for criminal prosecution to the Trump DOJ. We have worked with the Trump administration and finally gotten every document, just about every document you can imagine. We've been going through these for months now. We found evidence that he destroyed federal records and he directed others to destroy federal records. These are separate crimes. Now, there's a question whether or not his pardon will cover that. And we've asked him to come and testify. And people say, well, why do you ask him? Why don't you make him? Because the way the process works is you ask people first, and if they will testify, then you don't have to subpoena them. If you do have to go to a subpoena, then there may well be a court challenge, and we have another battle that we have to fight as well. So right now there is, we have asked him for information about his conversations and his use of non-governmental means of communication to do federal work. And we're going to look at what he gives to us in the next week or two. We're going to see if he will voluntarily come in and testify. But if he doesn't, we will subpoena him. So our hope is that we get a voluntary appearance. But at the very least, he's going to have to answer our questions concerning gain of function, but also destruction of records. If you'll recall, when they brought in one of his colleagues, a David Morenz, who worked with him at the NIH, Fauci acted like, oh, never knew him, hardly ever saw him. We have dozens and dozens of emails over years between the two. And Morenz was the one who said, oh, yeah, we had this FOIA lady over there who taught us how to avoid searches and requests. So what they do is they'd take, like, there was a virologist by the name of Christian Anderson who got an $8 million grant from Fauci after he supported Fauci's request to write an article saying that this couldn't have come from a lab, it had to come from nature. What they did with Anderson's name is it had a bunch of S's in it. They changed the S's into dollar signs so they wouldn't show up on a FOIA search. What I think is ironic about it is he was out there looking for money and shilling for money all the time up here. So they changed the S's in his name to dollar sign to avoid FOIA searches. There are a lot of shenanigans going on. Things that really, you talk about Watergate or you talk about scandals, they all pale. The COVID cover-up, I wrote a whole book on this, Deception, the Great COVID Cover-Up, because there's never been a cover-up more thoroughly documented, because we got most of their conversations, we got most of their emails, and we've seen them behind the scenes saying, oh my goodness, I'm pretty certain this looks like it was manipulated in a lab and came from a lab and not nature. Almost simultaneously, they're saying in public, no way, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist if you think it came from a lab. So publicly saying one thing and privately the other, probably so remarkable to ever catch somebody in such a cover-up.